You may or may not have seen Gucci Mane and Keyshia, his wife, on The Breakfast Club talking about him having schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
You're not going on Instagram. You're not going on Twitter. It's deleted, you know, and I just control everything at home. And now before the episodes come, I catch it. So that's why he hasn't had another one. And how you catch that is he doesn't speak to you. He wants to be left alone. He don't eat. He does not sleep. Text messages, there's a period after each word. And I'm like, you're going through an episode. You're sick. No, I'm not. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Why do you think that? You're not speaking to me. Well, there's nothing to talk about. I said, well, that's not how you speak to your wife. And I'm like, you're sick. And we snap out of it right then.
Wow. You know, we heard Kim this week say how Kanye just used to give away their cars and stuff when he would go through episodes. And in the book, you talk about,
I did that.
You just used to be giving away stuff.
I gave away jewelry.
Money.
He opened up about it in regards to his new album dropping, as well as his new book that's called Episodes. And I was definitely surprised. Was I shocked? I'm not really shocked anymore when it comes to people opening up about their mental health disorders, because as someone who has been in the field with it, I know that a lot of people are struggling with and living with, now thriving with, honestly, these disorders. So it's nothing surprising, but it's honestly very refreshing. So it was very refreshing to see Keyshia and Gucci Mane open up on The Breakfast Club about this topic. And simply because when a Black man can talk about mental health to this degree and what he's been through, where he's came from and where he is now, and how he's coping with that, I can probably count on my hand how many people in my real life that I know have gone through mental health issues and gotten on the other side. So to see someone in the public eye do this, I just know that it's going to open up a whole world for people to do the same. Gucci is respected. If you know music, if you know hip hop, if you know Black culture, Gucci Mane is respected in hip hop and in music and just in our culture, period. So for him to really get on The Breakfast Club and really go into deep detail, he talks about how when he has his episodes, he ends up giving away cars, how he stood outside for over 24 hours at one point when he was approaching an episode. He talked about how, of course, the drugs and the stress from where he grew up and what he had been through, how that actually was what triggered having schizophrenia and bipolar. Keyshia also opened up a lot about what it means to be his caregiver. So on today's episode, I really want to dive more into it, dive into the misconceptions I've been seeing online, and also, more importantly, dive into if you are a caregiver or if you find yourself being a caregiver, and really not just a caregiver, but being in support of someone who might be dealing with mental health issues or disorders. You're not alone. What you can do, how you can hold your own boundaries while still being in support of the people that you love. And it's just so important, because I feel like Gucci is still here with us today in this way because he had the support of Keyshia. I feel like with my own mental health journey personally, I'm still here today with the help that I've had from my family. I know so many other people in my life, family, friends, coworkers who have gone through deep, extreme mental health battles, that they are only here with us because their family cared. Their family honestly gave, for lack of better words, fuck about their mental health. They weren't judging them for it. They were there to support. They were there for those late nights. So that's who I really want to talk to today as well. Just people who are in support of people with these mental health disorders and issues. So let's get into it. Welcome to the For Your Thoughts podcast, where psychology, pop culture, and self meet. We're back again with another episode. Guys, so I decided to do bi-weekly episodes while I'm still getting my feet wet, and they will come out every other Wednesday. And when they don't come out, I'm going to have a vlog come out so that content still comes out weekly, but it's going to be like vlog, podcast, while we're doing the solo thing, while we are doing a lot of A/B testing on what works, what doesn't work, etc. That's what's going to happen. So you guys can look forward to hearing the podcast every other Wednesday. And if you actually are like, no, that doesn't work with me, like I actually would rather hear them every week, say something. I will actually take that into consideration, for real, because this podcast is ultimately for you guys and for the audience that I'm going to build. So like what works and what doesn't work, you know what I'm saying? Now that we've gotten all of the housekeeping out of the way, I really just want to dive into this week's episode head first because we have a lot of ground to cover. When you see that person on the street who they're talking to themselves, or they are homeless and they just seem like they are not in touch with reality anymore, creating these grandiose stories that make absolutely no sense, but they swear that it's so true. These are people who did not have the support or have the community to help them through having a mental health episode, whether that was through psychosis, through mania, etc. That's what you see, and that is a result of that. So I think that sometimes we really, when we hear the term schizophrenia or psychosis or anything like that, that's what we think about. We think about like some crazy madman just running down the street saying that someone's out to get him, and or someone who's on the train and they are telling us that we're about to be delivered from the Lord, or whatever the case may be. We literally just disregard those people and we don't even treat them as human when they are someone's sister, they are someone's brother, they are someone's mom, they are someone's daughter who just simply did not have support, who just simply maybe just never had anyone, or maybe their family ended up giving up on them. This topic is extremely personal to me because for whatever reason, I really think that it's a very spiritual, God-like reason why I have personally encountered a lot of friends and family members who have dealt with bipolar, schizophrenia, major depression, addictions, people that are extremely close to me, and we've had these revelations of where this has came out. And I think it's honestly God and something very spiritual, because I have been very much so empathetic to people who are going through mental health issues. And if you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard my episodes about Kanye West, you've heard my episodes about XXXTentacion, and just overall my disposition when it comes to things like that. And I've had the privilege, honestly, of really getting close to people who have had maybe one-time episodes, or people who actually do have schizophrenia. I have an aunt who has schizophrenia, and it's very personal to me. And I'm going to tell one story. I really don't want to tell people's stories, so I'm going to tell one story that I vividly remember, and it's like the start of my empathy for this topic. Is I was in high school, one of my best friends in high school, I just remember him tweeting off crazy, just tweeting a lot of, kind of like how we saw Gucci Mane tweet, how we see Nicki tweet, how we see Kanye tweet, and just going off on people saying just very grandiose things. Some things made sense, I'm not even gonna hold you, but it was a puzzle that needed to be put together. And long story short, an episode was happening, and that we found out was an episode, and he ended up being hospitalized, getting medication, and like returning back to himself. When you love someone and you really want to support them, it's one of the hardest truths to accept the reality, especially when they are in this manic or psychosis type state. And a lot of the times they literally don't remember what happened during that time. In Gucci Mane's book, actually, his co-author put these black pages in the book to kind of showcase the parts of his life that he doesn't remember and kind of like what that looks like for him. Literal black pages. You're reading the book and then black. And then you have to continue on. So it's really a break from reality. And I really thought about this one day. I was like, a break from reality. When a lot of the times this is triggered from PTSD of some sorts, stress, major depression, from having bipolar, from drugs. And I wonder if like the mind literally takes a break from reality because it's like too much to handle, and it kind of just like snaps and you just like go into like another zone simply to handle what you're experiencing in life. I hope that makes sense. But sometimes I'm like, oh, a break from reality. Like, what if literally the mind is like, fuck this shit, like I'm off this, and just goes into like this other dimension and other realm. I've thought about that a couple times, but let's get back to the story. I really want to break everything down very clearly because bipolar disorder, mania, schizophrenia, and psychosis, like they kind of all get mixed up in together. And I think that's why a lot of people get confused when it comes to celebrities and when they're like saying certain things or doing certain things. What's the actual difference here? And I think not knowing the difference really stands in the way of like understanding the person and what they're actually experiencing. So we're gonna have a little bit of class today and go over the difference between it all. First, we're gonna do bipolar. So with bipolar, that's where you get the mania, those extreme highs and those extreme lows, feeling like a superhero, feeling like you are on top of the world, not sleeping. You can go for hours and hours and hours, no money long, but you can dead ass go for hours and hours and hours and hours. Gucci Mane really talked about this as well. He said that that's the one thing that he misses from actually getting treatment. And like now that he's well, he said he misses that superpower mania and being in the studio and working out like a million times a day and not sleeping and making music. And it really just kind of gives you that extra edge that like that people who are in their normal state, I hate to say normal people because we are all normal people with just different things going on. But Gucci Mane basically said that he misses having that ramped up, energy. And that's what bipolar and mania, that's what happens there. And then we have psychosis. Psychosis is when you are hearing voices, there are delusions. This is where the real break from reality comes in, where you might be being told that the government is out to get you, and you might be putting numbers together and seeing patterns and things like that tell a story and a narrative to feed those delusions. So it's basically like seeing, hearing, thinking things that aren't real and that aren't happening in reality. And like I said before, when people are in these states, they are so convinced that this is who they are. And they actually are like, actually, I know something that you don't know. So y'all might want to listen to me. So it's very important for when you are seeing someone in these states, it's very important that you don't undermine their delusions. It's very important that you acknowledge their feelings. It's very important that you are very direct with them. Don't feed into what they're saying. Don't question it, because they will continue to go into whatever that narrative is. With psychosis and mania, you can experience psychosis and mania together. Like your manic episode can send you into psychosis. And schizophrenia is a chronic mental health condition where psychosis is really like the underlying and the main symptom that's going on. So like I said, the delusions, the hearing of the voices, seeing, hearing, and thinking things that are just completely false and not real. And like I said before, these states can be triggered from genetics. It could be stress related. It could be trauma related. It could be drug related. And I've seen a lot of it being drug related. And people will say something like, oh, his weed was laced bad. It's like, no, his weed was normal weed, but he might have been predisposed to being bipolar or predisposed to schizophrenia or psychosis, and one thing led to another in his brain and it led him down that path. That's why it's also very important to know your family history and know what you're dealing with. I know that in my family history, we do have people who have schizophrenia, who have had psychosis. So I very much so aware of that. And me and my family, we very much so move accordingly because of it. And of course, Gucci said that his episodes were very much so drug induced and also trauma induced as well, considering all that he had been through in his life. And I believe Gucci was on a lot of lean pills, all kind of drugs. He was on all kind of drugs. I remember when he got his ice cream tattoo, the labels and everyone were kind of like, bro, you're a genius. Like, that's marketing genius stuff. And that was so dope or whatever. And he said that that was literally a cry for help. He was trying to like externally show what he was experiencing on the inside. It was actually very hard for him to explain. But I was like, oh, I know exactly what you are talking about. Like, it's a cry for help. And what's so crazy is I feel like a lot of talented people, Selena Gomez, Kanye West, Van Gogh, a lot of people have bipolar, schizophrenia, or have dealt with mania and psychosis at some point. And I almost think that sometimes people are like too smart for the world. Like, they're too smart for the world. I've thought that before, and that's like a whole nother episode. And I want to get into a couple of misconceptions, though, that I've been seeing online. I've been seeing this weird thing about people saying that Keyshia is basically Gucci Mane's handler. And for me, when this came out, if you know anything about Gucci Mane and Keyshia, you know that she basically handles his entire life. Like, she handles his finances, like her man. And when she would say that, I would like live for it. Like how Kiki be like, I live for it. Like, I would actually live for how much and how well she takes care of her man and how that dynamic just worked for them. And a lot of people be like, that's weird. Like, why is she in control of his money? Why is she always saying this? And they would call him a clone and all kind of things like that. And I'm like, no, like, that's their dynamic. And now that this came out, I see even more why that is the case. Like, when someone is going through an episode, they will spend all their money. They will splurge it and spend on everything because they are superhuman. They gonna get that. They're gonna get it back. It is in the thrill of it all. And like we've seen before, they will tweet outlandish things. They will be mean to the people that they love. Keyshia even said that he was mean to her. Like, he'll pick a person to literally hate during his psychosis. When you know someone who, depending on the level, this is all a spectrum, of course, when you know someone who deals with mania or deals with psychosis or deals with schizophrenia, you know that when those episodes come on, you have to try to protect them at all costs. But when they are in that state, there is really no telling them nothing. So you have to do what you have to do. You have to take full control sometimes, depending on the level of how far they go when they are in that state. So with Keyshia saying that she controls the money and that she takes his phone, takes his passwords, changes his passwords, doesn't let him get online when she knows an episode is coming along, that is love. That is care. That is being a caretaker and being a true wife. And for people to sit there and be like, oh, that's a handler, like, you've never been loved before. I'm so sorry. Like, you've never been truly loved and truly seen and truly cared for at your worst. And I'm so sorry for that. But let's kill the whole handler clone thing. I think it's very dismissive to a Black man sharing the depths of what's going on in their heart, in their mind, in their mental, like schizophrenia and psychosis. That shit is no joke. It's no joke. Imagine that you literally have no control of what you're thinking, and everything that you're thinking is like extremely destructive and to yourself and to other people, and you swear that it's real. Like, imagine not being able to trust your own mind, and like you wake up from your episode and you like, what did I do? Like, I did that? Like, that's crazy. But like, your mind took over. Do you know how scary that is? Do you know how vulnerable you have to be to admit to that, and to want to get help from that, and to even allow your wife as a man to take care of you in that way? Like, why am I about to tear up? Oh, okay, please. Kudos to Gucci Mane and Keyshia for doing that for the Black community. Like, that is going to open up so many doors, and I just can't wait to have more healed Black men walking around, because we need it. Because y'all talking about it's a handler. Like, handle these. Another misconception that's got the internet's panties in a bunch is that they are simply just seeing the clip where Keyshia Ka'oir says that she's able to stop Gucci's episodes when they're about to happen, and the clip kind of stops. So the way that has been shared makes people think that I want y'all to go watch full episodes. What she said was he's had them enough for her to know when it's coming about. When you know something is coming about, you know how to mitigate the situation, whether that might be different medications, whether that might be going to the hospital, or whether that might be taking away the phones, whether that might be, you might be a little bit stressed, like you might need a little bit more sleep. There's so many different things that go into having an episode or being triggered to have an episode. And I thought it was so dope that she dived into the mitigation of episodes, and like when you can feel or see something coming on, like if you've been around somebody who has experienced that, it's very easy to tell. And it is so special to have someone to notice when you're not being yourself. And for people who think that's her controlling his life, I think y'all are missing the entire point of the interview. And I think that you need to have more empathy. People are really missing the point, and that's so unfortunate when it comes to the whole clone handler. She's taking his phone. What she means she's taking his phone? Like, the comprehension skills are so low right now that it's kind of scary. I actually caught myself arguing on Threads about this, because some guy literally was like, Gucci don't got no schizophrenia. He ain't schizophrenic. That man ain't schizophrenic. And we argue back and forth, because literally the title of the Breakfast Club interview was that, and he literally said he has bipolar and schizophrenia. And the man was like, he was like, I hear voices too. Like, that don't mean I got schizophrenia. I'm so sorry, sir. That might mean that you have schizophrenia, and it's okay. It's okay. That's the point of the interview, to let people know that's what it is. He just did not want to believe that's what Gucci had. It was such an interesting conversation, and I don't know why I had time this morning. I normally don't go back and forth with no one on the internet, but I just had time because I was like, yo, how are you going to invalidate someone's experience and invalidate what someone just shared with you? And even if you don't think it's true, why do you think you're the one to call that out? It'll just never make sense to me. But yes, for Black men, I think that type of honesty and vulnerability is just so rare. Black men are known to not trust the healthcare system, and we shouldn't trust the healthcare system. It's so crazy, because when you go see like a psychologist or psychiatrist or someone like that as a Black man, and you might be telling them about what you experience with your day-to-day when it comes to the government and when it comes to the police and just like your personal paranoia, Black men live with a paranoia already. because they're getting killed for no reason. They are being watched for no reason. Their every move is seemed and deemed as a threat to other people. So there was already a level of paranoia that's naturally there. And to layer on top of that what the system has done to people to create this is just mind-blowing. So I can see why someone would not want to go to therapy and just pray it away. I can see why you wouldn't trust your psychiatrist, because like, what drugs are you giving me? Like, what is this is a business and you're giving me something. Like, I can see where the distrust lies. But you can pray and go to therapy. You can be spiritual and be scientific. You can accept what's going on and figure out how to personally work through that with you and your family. And just don't be afraid of medication, but also be very cautious and aware when it comes to medication. Do your own research. Don't just let nobody shove no pills down your throat over and over and over again. You should be aware of what you're taking, what it's doing for you, how it's making you feel. And there's so many options for people when it comes to medication and mental health. And another thing I'm going to talk about before we get into the caregivers and how you can be a better caregiver or in better support of your friend is really how to give grace to people that are going through their episodes and who have these disorders. It's kind of like, I really just think about Kanye when it comes to this. And I just think about, okay, where does grace actually come in when you've been kind of a menace to society in some way? But we know that a lot of it comes from your mental health disorder, and a lot of the beauty in the art of who Kanye West is came from that, and even who Gucci is came from that as well. So it's like, where does the grace lie? And I think that it lies in like how destructive you are being, and like, do you personally want to get help? Do you want to be a better person for yourself, your family, your community, or do you just want to ride on the high horse of what you're experiencing and like who you think you are when you are detached from reality? And yeah, I'm grappling with that question, honestly, because I do wish that people like Kanye got more grace, but I also do understand how some of his words have been destructive in some sense, but I also understand how a lot of his words have been so inspiring and important to Black people as well. So it's something that I'm really grappling with, to be honest. So yeah, let's get into caregiving and how we can support our friends and family members better through these situations, and how we can preserve ourselves through these situations as well. So let's get into when you are the strong one in this situation, or when you are the caregiver, the family member, the partner, the friend, the support group. And this is an angle that I feel like isn't talked about enough. And it's really like the ones who hold it down when things are falling apart, the ones who still show up regardless for these people, because like, not trying to fix anyone, but because you literally love this person and they are a part of your life. Supporting someone through their bipolar, schizophrenia, or psychosis, manic episodes, etc., it can be a lot. It can be very heavy, not because of it being a burden. When neither party fully understands what's going on, it can be a very tough and confusing time for the relationship. We need to talk more about how we can have boundaries, how we can support the other person, and how we can also support ourselves throughout these situations. If you've ever been there, you know it can be confusing. It could be frustrating. It could be scary. There are so many emotions that go on when you are witnessing someone that you love in their most vulnerable state, and it's almost like you can't reach them. It's almost like you want to help them so bad and you just don't know what to do. You don't know where to start. It can be a very isolating and life-changing experience. There's something called a nasanosia, and it's basically when the person is in that state and they don't know that they are not well. So you are seeing them in this unwell state, but in their mind, they don't think that anything is wrong. So it's very hard to help someone who thinks nothing is wrong with them. And a lot of the times we write it off as like, okay, like they're denying what they're going through, they're being stubborn. But honestly and truly, the brain does not recognize and register what's actually happening. Their reality is what they know to be true. And even when they get out of those states, they will still let you know that was true and that's what happened. And so when someone's like, oh, I'm fine, like I don't need any help, I'm good, like don't worry about me, but you clearly see that something's wrong, that's not them trying to like brush you off or something like that. That's truly what they believe, and arguing won't help that. Logic is not going to bring someone back into reality, but what will help them is making sure that they know that they are safe with you, making sure that they know that whatever feelings they're having behind these thoughts are safe with you. For example, if someone is hearing voices in their head and they are saying that someone might be trying to harm them in some way, or they are saying that someone's following them, etc., you can be like, oh, that sounds so scary. Like, I'm so sorry. That sounds very terrifying. You can say things like that. So you're basically not validating what they are saying, but you're validating like how they are feeling, because underneath that, they are fearful, they are scared. If someone's really, really mad at something because of whatever scenario that they have created in their head, you can be like, I completely understand how you're feeling. That's so crazy, etc. But don't ever validate the narrative, but you can always validate the feeling. So it's like you're not agreeing with what they're saying, but you're agreeing with how they're feeling. And that kind of empathy really, really goes a long way. That's how you build trust. That's how you make them feel safe, make them feel seen through what their current reality is in that moment. The second thing, de-escalation is all about energy and not trying to control the situation. When someone's going through a crisis, your tone and your energy matter. Remain calm, remain grounded, be a safe space for them. No bright lights, no sudden movements, and don't try to control or fix them. Just try to make them feel like they are in a safe space for the reality that they're experiencing. So you want to stay calm, you want to lower your voice, you want to move slowly. You'd want to give them space. Don't touch them. Just let them know that you are there for them and you are on their side. And of course, if you ever feel unsafe and things are getting maybe physically harmful, you can call in for a mental health crisis, call into a hotline and let them know like that's what's going on so that they can get the proper care that they need. And of course, your safety matters too. You definitely want to be there for your friend, your family member, whoever, your wife, your husband, whoever you're supporting, but know that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot drain yourself trying to help them. It will not work. So make sure that you're taking your breaks. Make sure you're calling on support from someone else. Make sure that you are filling your own cup and know that this is like a journey. This is going to be a journey that you're probably going to be on with this person for like the rest of their life, especially if they have like reoccurring episodes and things like that. So just know it's for a moment and they'll be back to themselves, and really think of it as like someone being sick, that they're unwell. That's how I like to think about it when when that happens. And another thing that I like to say is like the relationship might also change. So with your husband or your wife or whoever, your best friend, the relationship might change because they might have said something crazy. They might have done something crazy that you might not be able to come back from. But I do want to say like, though, like they are still worthy of love. They're still worthy of care. They are still very much so valuable. Like I think about when I've gone through my own mental health things, and what I would want is for someone to know like, hey, this is not anything that you did. This is not anything, it has nothing to do with you. It's like all on me. I would want someone to still care for me in that same way and kind of almost like take out whatever mental health, however my mental health disturbed our relationship. I don't want them to take that out of it and see me for me. So I think about that in that same way. It's like, see that person for who they truly are and who you know them to be, and just know this is like an annoying ass thing that just is coming through, and we're going to deal with it together. And yeah, know that you like might grieve who that person was before this happened and who they're going to be. And I think that a lot of the times who someone was before they have some type of break, who they are after if they get the proper care, is 10 times more of themselves. They are more authentic. They are happier because they have really been able to show themselves in a holistic way, and they've been able to address whatever was happening internally. And I think that they honestly transcend to like another level of consciousness sometimes, and that's why it's so important to be there with them throughout their care. And like the other side is so beautiful, it's so sweet. And we saw this also in the episode of The Breakfast Club with Keyshia and Gucci. He's saying he's the happiest he's ever been on the other side. He is living a very chill, calm, cool, and productive life with him and his family. And I think that is like the dream. Like that's the dream. You got money. You are one of the greatest rappers we know. You are just such an OG. You have been so vulnerable and shared your story and helped other people. You are married to a beautiful woman and you have beautiful kids and you are just living your life. I think that is living life in its purest and best form. So I think a lot of people, when they have a psychotic break and they get through it and they build themselves back up, because it's almost like you've ripped apart everything and you have to build yourself back up. The other side is even more glorious than it was before, because before you were probably going through a lot of PTSD, going through a lot of stress. If you were into the drugs, like that's happening as well. So the other side is 10 times better. With that being said, like, you know that your friend, when they get better, they're going to be a new person, and like maybe the relationship will be different, maybe it'll be better, maybe it'll just be a bit shifted, but it's all for the greater good. Whoever that person is, like, they're doing the best they can with the mind and body that God gave them, and it's for a reason. Like, their testimony is truly for a reason, and they're not a burden. They are fighting battles that someone could never even imagine. You can't even fathom what it feels like to be in your own reality that people are telling you is wrong. Like, I can't even imagine what that is. So to be in support of someone like that is honestly an honor and a privilege for me. And yeah, take care of your own mental health. Like, I think one of the other critiques people were saying is like, does Keyshia K'Or have a therapist? And I think it's hard to find a therapist when you have been through so much. It's like, would you really understand what I'm saying? Like, do you understand that I am a trap rapper who went from nothing to something and back? Like, would you understand me and my life? Like, so I feel like Keyshia, I don't know if she explicitly said that she didn't have a therapist, but the internet is saying that she should get one. I'm like, y'all in that girl business. But I do believe that if you are a caregiver, you should have your own therapist. Everyone should have a therapist just to chat with, to have an unbiased space to just vent and to heal. So take care of yourself. And find a hobby, like find something that reminds you of who you are outside of taking care of this person. When you love someone, you're going to pour your everything into them, and your whole identity will become you trying to help and fix this person, to the point where you might even lose yourself, and that is not going to help anyone. So make sure you're still doing the things that you want to do for yourself. You need to let go of any guilt that might be stopping you from taking time to yourself, and know that this person is going to be okay. You just being there is already enough. Some people just don't even have anyone to be of support for them. And boundaries, like boundaries don't mean that you're not helping them. Distance does not mean that you're not there for them. You can take a moment, you can take a couple of weeks, you can take a month, whatever the case may be. You can take time to yourself, and know that that does not mean that you are abandoning them. That does not mean that you don't care about them. It actually means that you care about them so much that you want to make sure that you are your best self. And honestly, like sometimes love looks like space. Sometimes love looks like quiet. Sometimes love looks like giving people the room to figure some things out for themselves. Like love can look like that as well. That is this week's episode, y'all. This has been a crazy week. I have a crazy headache, and I don't know if anything I said made sense, but the episode had to come out. If I think of more things that I wanted to say that I did not say, go to my TikTok. I will be posting and talking about it on TikTok, but I just want to, this one's for the caregivers. This one's for Gucci and Keyshia. Like, that was such a good episode, and I'm so happy that was dived into and talked about. And I really want to leave you guys with, you know, the message of really reflect and think like, okay, has there been someone in my life where they might have been going through something like this, and I kind of brushed it off as like, oh, that person's crazy. If you see someone struggling, think to yourself, like, what if this was my partner? What if this was my friend? What if this was literally Gucci Mane? Like, what if this was someone that I knew? And like, how would I react? How would I give them grace? Would I judge them? What would I think? And yeah, I think that we all deserve compassion. We all deserve empathy. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is to really just try and understand. And if you or anyone that you know is looking for help with any of this, you can go to foryourthoughts.org, and there are also other resources that are up and running now. Therapy for Black Girls. I love the Boris L. Henson Foundation. That's Taraji P's. Of course, we have NAMI, and I'll list everything below so that if you or someone you know needs help, go there, and they, all of us got you. So thank you for listening to another episode of the For Your Thoughts podcast with Penny and Nassie. Y'all are my everything. So we'll be back very soon with another episode. And comment, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. See you guys next time.